Hello everyone, and welcome to Hill Street. Today's story is, My Family Has Been Cursed, and I Don't Want to Die, by Archie Sunshine. If you end up enjoying this story, please leave a like, and if you enjoy hearing stories from me, please subscribe and become a resident of Hill Street, and let me know how I'm doing in the comments. Now, let's get to this nightmare. It's been almost 6 months since my uncle passed away. He and I weren't the most close, though I can recall spending time with him when I was a child. He was a good uncle, one of the best ones, so I've been told. He was young, too, when he died. Well, comparatively so. Only 40 years old. But his death isn't the reason I'm writing about this. I think my family is cursed. In the past 3 years, the men on my father's side of the family have been dying one by one. My great-granddad was the first, then my grandfather, then my cousin, then my first uncle, my great-uncle, my dad, and then my second uncle, just 6 months ago. I used to think I was paranoid when I noticed the pattern, but I'm sure now that there's something bigger happening here. It happens the same way each time. For a few weeks, they start getting antsy, looking over their shoulders, checking rooms, like they're afraid something is following them. They start losing sleep, complaining about nightmares that they never tell the contents of. And then, on the last night, they walk outside when everyone's asleep and just keel over, dead. It doesn't matter how healthy they are. My cousin was a professional judo instructor with a clean bill of health, never smoked or drank, and still, just like that, gone. I know I should be mourning. I miss my dad. I miss all of them, and it's tearing my mom apart to see so many of the people she loved die. But I can't be mourning right now, because I think I'm next. No, I don't just think so. I know I'm next, because I can finally see what it is they were all afraid of. It started last week. It was late at night. I was awake, completing an assignment for one of my courses. I was walking to my kitchen to get myself something to drink, just to keep me awake a little longer. I hadn't even made it out of the hall when I saw it. It was dark in the room. It could have just been a trick of the light, but I swore I saw a figure in the corner of that room. It was tall, with 2 pale, milky white eyes squinting out at me. When I flipped on the lights, it disappeared. So I just assumed I was imagining things. I feel stupid for thinking that now, but I've always been a skeptic. I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. I just felt uneasy, so I left the lights on to sleep. I assumed I would feel better in the morning, but of course I didn't. Every dark doorway in my apartment felt like something was just beyond my sight. I thought getting out of the house would help too, and for a few days it did. But I got a call from my job saying I'd be working the graveyard shift. I work at a convenience store on the outskirts of my town. We don't get much foot traffic at those hours, so usually I'd enjoy those kinds of shifts, but I couldn't enjoy it that first night. I was lucky that the light stayed on the whole time. I was just sitting there, behind the register, staring straight past the aisles and out the front glass doors. It's never pretty out this time of year. It's muddy and damp and cold. And winter is even worse. But in winter, I could at least see, with the snow reflecting moonlight. But at this time of the year, it's just pitch dark. You can see about 30 feet out, illuminated by the neon sign of the store and the lights from inside. But past that, it's just dark as ink. And just like I thought, as soon as it got dark enough, I could see it there. It wasn't any clearer, but its eyes were wider this time, bulging out of its head a bit. It didn't move closer, just stood there, waiting, watching. The customers that would come in never seemed to notice it, even as it swayed in the wind like a tree. I couldn't find the courage to leave the store until the sun started to rise. It finally moved, sinking back into the tree line slowly, closing its eyes and disappearing. I was lucky there were no cops on the route home. I was probably speeding with how bad I needed to get away from that forest. It's been like this everywhere I go, in dark hallways and corners and alleys. It's always there. Sometimes I get a better look at it, but it's never enough to know what it is. It's wearing some kind of black sheet to hide its body. Sometimes the light of morning will catch on the top of its head, and it's wearing the sheet like some kind of cartoony ghost. One night, I pointed my phone's flashlight at it, and it moved fast enough that I could see something swing around as it hid in the woods. I think it might have been a rope tied around its neck to hold the sheet in place. I think the worst part is that when it's close enough, when it's outside my window or in a dark room nearby, I can hear it. It's quiet, but it breathes. Sometimes it even coughs, dry and weak, like it's dying. A few nights ago, I couldn't take it anymore. It was another graveyard shift. I was so tired, losing sleep, having nightmares about that stupid thing. Every night, it's the same dream, standing in a field across from it, while the crops turn gray and wither around us. That night, I was stupid. I walked out the door and stood at the edge of where the light illuminates. I yelled out at it. I asked what it wanted from me, screaming at it to just get it over with. It didn't move. It just stared down at me. When I went to sleep, the dream was different. It was the same field, the same thing there, across from me in the field. But I could see them in the field with it. My family, the ones that died. All of them except my great-grandfather. They were all digging in the dirt with shovels, disappearing behind the tall withering stalks of corn. The figure raised a long, rail-thin arm and pointed behind me with a rotting index finger. When I turned to look, I could see a hill. There was an old car parked on top of it, and beside it was a middle-aged man digging into the dirt. He crawled out of the hole he had dug, turned to his car, and dragged a large, sheet-covered package from the trunk. He tossed it in the hole, then began to bury it. When I woke up, it wasn't with a jolt or gasp. I didn't understand. I just felt dread in my gut. I feel cold. I feel dazed. I can't focus on my job or my classes. I leave my lights on almost all the time, just to feel some ounce of safety. But I know it's always somewhere. I think there's still time for me, but I don't know if there's anything I can do to stop it. But I don't want to die. I'm not ready to die. In my dreams now, it just keeps getting closer. And I'm not stupid. I know what that's implying. I know my family won't believe me if I tell them what's happening. But maybe someone out there will. So I'm begging you, if anyone knows what to do, please tell me.